So Father Ian Vane has been criticised by the Right Honourable MP Coghlan because he denied him communion. The Liberal Democrat MP was denounced by his Roman Catholic priest before his congregation and banned from taking communion after voting in favour of the assisted dying bill. Chris Coghlan, the MP for Dorking and Hawley, described his treatment as outrageous. He has complained to Richard Moth, the Bishop of Arundel and Brighton, and in the days before the vote, Coghlan was contacted by his local priest, Father Ian Vane, who suggested that a vote in favour of the assisted dying bill would be obstinately persevering in sin, and that Coghlan would be refused communion if he did. Vane, the priest at Coghlan's local Catholic church, St. Joseph, in Dorking, Surrey, said, "As priests, we are custodians of the sacraments." Writing in the Observer, Coghlan said, although he made no reference to it, this priest is also well aware that he is responsible for signing off my children's education forms for the Catholic state school they attend. Despite the threat, Coghlan supported the bill, which was passed in the House of Commons on June 20th with a majority of just 23 MPs. Let's be clear. The Catholic priest did the right thing. For you to receive communion in the church is for you to say that you are in communion with the covenant people of God, and that you believe what the covenant people of God believe, that you live by the mores and values of the Christian faith. Assisted dying and abortion are two moral principles that directly contradict the command, "Thou shalt not kill." It doesn't matter whether you're killing someone else or killing yourself, the command is an absolute. And that is why, as Christians, we don't believe in suicide. And so when an MP who is proclaiming himself to be a Catholic by receiving communion votes in favour of assisted dying, then he is in direct contradiction to the teachings, not just of the Roman Catholic Church, but of Christianity as a whole. But of specifically the Roman Catholic Church, which expressly excommunicates those that defy its teachings around these issues. And so the MP was rightly denied communion. This harassment that the MP is launching against his priest, which we will go into, is equivalent to a spoilt child stamping his feet. And I find his statement about his children going to the local Catholic church school to be quite telling. It appears that possibly this MP is only going and attending the Catholic Church because he wants to put his children into the Catholic school. And I encourage Father Ian Vane to not sign the papers so that the children of this MP cannot attend the Catholic Church school. Catholic Church schools are primarily there as Catholic institutions. The communion is a Catholic sacrament. It isn't the right for you to defy Catholic teaching, Christian teaching, and then expect for the church to give you communion. That's like going up to the priest and saying, "I don't believe in God, but I do want to be baptized." That is how ridiculous the MP sounds. Now, it goes on. The MP said that it was completely inappropriate. No, it was completely appropriate. The MP went on to say it undermines the legitimacy of religious institutions in this country if representatives think it is acceptable to try to coerce members of parliament. You mean like when those members of parliament cowed to the Palestinian mob just last year and went against parliamentary tradition and custom when our parliament broke down because they were coerced by a Muslim mob outside of the parliament, illuminating the parliament with the words, "Palestine will be free from the river to the sea." And when the Speaker of the House turned around and said that he went against parliamentary custom so that he wasn't woken up with a phone call of another MP that had been stabbed. Interesting, isn't it, that MPs like this did not condemn that in the strongest terms. No, I want to say it is right for the teachers of the faith to teach their congregations the true faith without diluting or diminishing. And as a result, the priest did the right thing. If you don't like it, Right Honourable Coughlan, go somewhere else. Stop pretending to be a Christian. Now, Kim Ledbetter, the Labour MP, who introduced the assisted dying bill, said this, that religious leaders and people of faith have every right to communicate their views to their MPs. Well, isn't that what the priest did? And to Parliament as a whole. But this, interesting. This is conceitedness at its best. But this is totally unacceptable. So in other words, you can tell your MP what you think, but this particular priest is wrong to tell his congregant what he thinks. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a demonstration of how the left, and particularly Labour Party MPs, have no consistency to their own values. Their words are mere rhetoric to try and bully and cajole those of us that believe in the faith. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the MP in question went on to release tweets about his priest. So I'm going to respond to those tweets in the spirit of public discourse, since he has made it a matter of public discourse in his tweets. And since, as an MP, he is a public representative, and so his views should be engaged with by members of the public. I'm quoting directly from Chris Moglen, the Right Honourable MP's official X account. My Catholic priest publicly announced at every Mass he was denying me Holy Communion following the assisted dying vote. Children who are friends of my children were there. This followed a direct threat in writing to do this 4 days before the vote. The fact that there were children in Mass is completely irrelevant to canon law. The fact that there were children in Mass is completely irrelevant to the duties of the priest in acting as custodian of the sacrament. Christian priests cannot marry gay couples. Christian priests cannot baptize atheists. Christian priests cannot baptize people who are openly supporting suicide. They cannot give communion to people who deny the faith. And so the priest was acting rightly within his duties as a priest. What right does this MP have to use his platform to try and whip up a media storm against this lowly, humble servant of the church? The MP continues, "It is a matter of grave public interest, the extent to which religious MPs came under pressure to represent their religion and not necessarily their constituents in the assisted dying vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you trying to tell me that there aren't Christians also as part of your constituency? Are you trying to tell me, as a Liberal Democrat MP, that everyone who voted Conservative and Labour and Green Party agrees with your every position that you vote for with your yeas and your nays during the partition? No, you're abusing your position to make an issue about something that was completely legitimate. It is absolutely right that leaders of congregations expect their MPs to follow the teachings of the Christian faith. And it is absolutely right that every elder of a church excommunicates and disfellowships every MP that voted for the abortion amendment and the assisted suicide dying bill. That is exactly what should happen to every MP that voted against the Christian faith and its teachings, because you have abandoned the covenant that we believe in as Christians. He goes on to say, this was utterly disrespectful to my family. Tough! Boo-hoo! You're a public servant. That doesn't mean that you're allowed to walk through life unchallenged. The fact that you are trying to drag your own family into this is demonstrable of the fact of your Machiavellian politics, that you are hiding behind the thought of your wife and children to protect yourself from criticism. My constituents, including the congregation, so now he presumes to speak for the entire congregation and every constituent in his constituency. That's bold. Has he done a vote? Has he done a census? Does he know what actually the real opinions are of the constituents and the members of his congregation? He goes on, my constituents, including the congregation and the democratic process. So apparently it is highly disrespectful to his constituents that agree with a priest, and to the members of the congregation that agree with a priest, and to everyone that voted against the assisted dying bill. It's highly disrespectful to all of them that this priest has denied this apostate MP access to the sacraments that belong only to those who are faithful members of the covenant. He goes on, my private religion will continue to have zero direct relevance to my work as an MP. Right there, ladies and gentlemen, he has declared that Jesus Christ is not his Lord, is not the Lord of his life, that he's not the Lord of his politics, that he's not the Lord of his conscience, because remember, the assisted suicide bill was a vote of conscience. No one was whipped. You voted according to your conscience. He goes on, my private religion will continue to have zero direct relevance to my work as an MP, representing all my constituents without fear or without favour. Well, clearly he does fear the progressives of Brighton. Clearly he doesn't care about the opinions of the Christians of Brighton. Ladies and gentlemen, you all need to write to the bishop of this priest. You all need to write to Bishop Richard Moth of the Diocese of Arundel and Brighton and congratulate him on having such a faithful priest of the church, and applaud this servant of the church, and say how much you want to laud and honour this servant of the church. Write to the bishop in support of the priest, and write to the priest in support of what he did. And I say again, every church leader should excommunicate, disfellowship, and deny the sacrament of communion to every MP that voted for the abortion amendment and the suicide bill that was passed just 2 weeks ago. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen?